Hi everyone, I'm Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk, and today I have Sean Bond finally on the show, woo! And my co-host Chad Cooper. And Sean, tell me what you're doing over there. Where are you right now?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. I'm in Mexico City helping take back the grid for the force of light and Earth Mother and Source, and going to different places of power around the planet, doing trips as well and mystery schools and just so much. Learning how to unlock the dormant capability of humanity. How about you?
Thank
Thanks
you. You're welcome. Thanks for being on. I like those pictures behind you. Did you draw those?
Thank you. My girlfriend Isa, she does a lot of art, and also many other things. Activate the super intelligence of the brain. She's very good at it.
Is she there? Do you want her to be on the show? She's welcome.
She's doing a session right now, but I'll take you up on that. I'll let her know about it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I just do whatever people need, like I help them hex removals, I help them to see their dead ones, their dead loved ones. They have messages, I help them clear their energy field, and I see different things on their face or their body, and then I ask them, of course, with their permission. I do some rituals, and then they're clear. And I always warn them, be careful, because you don't want to get attached to them again. And so that's only when they're ready to say no more. No more with a certain person, or no more with the drug addiction. I do have a behavioral health tech thing, and I was in I don't know if you've ever heard DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. I did it for 3 years, and then I became certified. And the background, same thing, military, police. Here on the show, we talk about anything, relationships, any experiences, dreams, opening portals, closing portals. I pretty much hold the grid here where I am right now, and I can go astral, remote viewing, galactic, all that stuff that we all know how to do. But people just like to put words on them. But I just like to help humanity. We'll just say that, and then help people heal from the programs. And Chad helps me with QHHC and other people, but I'll have Chad say what he does.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, no, I used to do some hypnotherapy and everything in the past, and so now I'm just carrying it forward with Veronica doing some regressions and everything. It's not something I'm practicing currently at the moment. I let it go because I had reasons, and I do question it. So now I'm like, I had to step away from it. Now I'm going to reapproach it maybe, and take it up again. We'll see. As far as my spirituality and everything, though, that's another thing that I had to step away from, and that I'm coming back into and figuring out how to reapproach as well. So I had to kind of go through a wash and rinse cycle, is the way it felt, and a few of them. And like there's a spirituality, and and I was doing the Kundalini, I guess, and the kung fu or whatever type of training, and then you do your research into some of this, and you find out that the origins of it came from people that were maybe pedophiles, or leaders in a bad way, and so you lose your spirituality in that sense. But then you realize, okay, it wasn't spirituality, it was just strengthening psionics. It was just strengthening certain things within me, and I stepped away from that. So now I'm getting ready to move back into that, and I'm going to do it through diet and exercise, and then and do some of the spiritual practices that I had before, but do it in my way with my intentions behind them.
Interesting. That's a good modality and mentality to take up with that. Yeah, I've learned some things that the teachers then you realize they're a little questionable, so you have to learn how to detach from their network and then reverse engineer the ability into the light origin or whatever.
Yeah. So for a while, I was having difficulty reaching outside of me and having contact with anybody or accessing anything. I just refused to. It was all within, and it was anything unconditional, and I didn't receive any help when I asked for it unconditional. So I'm learning how to connect now, and having a more realistic approach to it, I think. So moving forward with all of that.
Thank you, Chad. Sean, I saw that you went to the Full Disclosure Now. I couldn't go because I was recovering from surgeries, but how was it? Was it fun?
It was wonderful. It was very interesting. A lot of ET craft above visitations. I presented. I went into psionics, self-protection for targeted individuals, how to contact positive ET soul family, how to prevent negative ETs from abduction, as well as my lab and all the different ways to prevent that, and like abduction proofing, as well as memory retrieval and memory psionics, and going into all the different blocks that like suppress us. And that was interesting.
So is that what you do then for the community, is help them to retrieve their souls and integrate them pretty much? Mm-hmm.
Yes, my skill set is psionics, psionics specialist, and I reverse engineer abilities. I can tune into people's soul, DNA, past lives, Akashic record, all the fields, and read people that are demonstrating abilities, and then reverse engineer how they did it. And then I've had to do that to survive from things trying to kill me, and so a lot of defense orientation abilities came online in response that me testing what works, and becoming a healer and healing from great suffering, and then also learning how to heal other people and then get rid of their pain instantly, and then from a distance, as well as get rid of negative emotions, learn all the reasons for emotions, track psychic tracking, get rid of targeting, heal targeted individuals, and super soldiers are what I am most known for. And then I help them reactivate and make safe their dormant abilities so that they can be strong and permeate what they came here to do and bring their piece of heaven with them.
I like that. Thank you for doing that for us.
Thank
So
you.
you're aware of like Ashiana Dean and how we are supposed to reverse our DNA to get our strands back, because we're supposed to be the number 13. We're supposed to have all the bloodlines, you know, that are here currently. But it goes beyond that. Like I always say, when we came to Earth or got caught, right? Or were captured, like I know I was captured. I came in as a shooting star. I remember just because that's how the light came out in 2017 when I said, is there anything out there that I should stay here for, you know, other than my kids? Like, I didn't believe in the gods here, the Bible or anything like that. It had already been the near-death experience where, you know, I died for the 3 days, was in the hospital for a month and a half, and 20 doctors every day, you know, were like coming to see me from Mexico, from Texas, from wherever, like, how did she survive? And I said, if there's anything out there, and then the light came out, and at the same time that the light came out, there was a shooting star. We went outside, the neighbors are, did you hear that? Yeah, there was nothing there. So now I know I'm a walk-in, meaning I'm finally taking charge of my life, but it took a long time, right? There was still a war going on physically and spiritually. So I was reading on Ashiana Dean and how you know there's a fight for your soul. And I saw the blue beings when I died, the Hindu blue beings that are in charge of taking your soul and taking you to the moon, to Saturn, you know, processing you sometimes through Jupiter, sometimes through Venus. It just depends. But every line has they have a hold on Earth with their frequency through HARP. And like I was saying before the video, the pyramids of Giza are connected to the other pyramids, you know, they're connected to Saturn, all these planets that Orion, okay, basically. And there's been a war for our soul. And I always tell people there's no need to reincarnate. There's no need. They trick you. You know, we need you, we need your DNA, we need your genetics. So what I tell people, and I don't know if you agree, is the bloodlines are here because we're here in this body, and they wanted to interject their, you know, their ability, they wanted to see through us, these alien beings. I'm talking about the alpha drakes and, you know, the grays, the Anunnaki and all that. But our soul, though, our soul has nothing to do with bloodlines. Our soul is pure, it's crystalline. It's supposed to be the crystals, right? Just like when Superman is sent to the world, he's being sent, with 13 different, you know, the crystals. And then when he's here, he finds the crystals, like the underground cities. Oh, my mom, my dad, you know, these are the messages. We have a home. we come from. And I know I've been in Andromeda and things like that, and Sirius B and the 13 crystal cities and the mermaid and dolphin, you know, experiment, the stargates, everything. So it's like, I'm pretty much done here, but they don't let me leave until I'm really done, you know? So with the program.
Good way to put it.
Huh?
I like how you put that.
Yeah. So this is an open forum. I have nothing really written down to talk about. It's whatever you'd like to talk about, or any questions that Chad may have, or yourself, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Yeah, there's a war on the soul. Had to come up vastly aware of that, and why the soul, like what is the soul, and what's the difference between the soul and the spirit. The spirit is at least in the control centers of what I've read. So whatever I tell you, take it with a grain of salt. This is how I read it, and like I'm actually, you know, what I believe, and I don't mind if other people want to believe something else. I don't, you know, I'm not trying to push things. So this is just what I read. So the spirit is like a connection of all consciousness tree of light that expands throughout all existence and can be tuned into a radio like plasma that goes down fractally dimensionally. And the cells and the DNA is like an antenna that receives it in greater consciousness, and DNA tech has been cultivated in various ways throughout many places to experience a plane of existence. The soul is a backpack of energy that attaches to the spirit that has memories, abilities, superpowers. It's like what you accumulate in data and achievements in each lifetime. So it has a lot of past lives in it too, around the solar plexus area in the stomach. And yeah, it's very powerful. It's got a tremendous capacity to do amazing things and miracles and power and chi and force and magic, and most of the power generates there, and superpower bolt. So when people sell their soul, it's really stupid. It's not theirs to sell anyway, but you know, it allows for the stealing. It's dumb. But yeah, there's so much angelic capacity in the soul to awaken that brings cures and healing and support and puzzle completion to wherever place, plane, realm, planet that a being comes to, whether they chose to incarnate or not. And there's a war over this place as well. And I like to tune into what each agenda of each faction is doing and what they want, and the unity of different factions, and what do you gotta talk to resolve things so that you can eventually fully leave and mission complete here, as well as grow to the greatest capacity that you can here. And what's the list of benefits for even being here? With all the list of suffering, like, is there even worth here? And I find out, yeah, but also most people have no idea what those are because they're in amnesia and they're suppressed and limited, and there's all this vampiric energy coming in and treating us like batteries. So it's unfortunately a lot of suffering that you have to get through. But once you learn how to transcend and turn every one of the negative things with love into a positive, and make it a stepping block onto your own positive pyramid internally, fire within, then you transcend to a higher level, and then anything the dark forces can send at you make you stronger. Yeah, and going off of what you went into, yeah, the walk-in scenario is very interesting. I have a similar thing. Mine was weird with how people describe it, to where it's like dormant part of my spirit collective smuggled in to the incarnation through the trunk, and had a previous spirit in the control seat of the driver's wheel until I was ready to fully take over. And then a lot of knowledge came along with that. Yeah, and then there's some interesting drama with all the planets in the solar system. There's a lot of beliefs on them. They're probably the most dramatic planets in existence, and it seems like they were all put here to resolve all their drama and karma, and most of the drama being resolved in the big remedy melting pot of the entire existence and multiverse to come here and make an antidote for evil. And I have been through so much suffering, I can't help, for my personally, see myself in everyone and want everyone to do well, even like the dark forces. I can't help but forgive and compassion from with boundaries, and then see them like a branch of the tree of existence, and then see ways in the timeline and what caused them to become dark or evil, and make mass healing that makes it so where more and more of the universe is less evil, and then things start to resolve more and more and detach, and then come to their own and find their perfect place in the harmony of everything. Yeah. So yeah, and what kind of things were you interested in talking about? There's a lot of things we can go into.
Like tons. I mean, I understand everything that you're saying. So I'm of higher learning. I can go on, I can go further than that. What I would like to do is make Earth a better place for the children and our animals, the crystal beings that are still incarnating here. And I want to take the pain away. I want to get rid of these mother effers, you know what I'm saying? And I fight them every day. I fight them every day. And just through my love, my unconditional love. But I find that I have to put many, many boundaries, because there are those that have still the vampirical energy that just want to siphon you. I need help, but I've already helped you like 20 times. It's like, but I need your attention. Oh, well, I'm busy right now. I have my kids, you know, or I have to do a show. It's like some of them I've had to block because they just want to take and take and take, and they haven't been able to resolve their own karma here, or whatever you want to call it, crap, you know. What I wanted to do is, because I'm helping save the children on the other side, and I also in Saturn there is a school that I know that I helped build, but it was the rings of Saturn. And then other people were like, oh, how can you have a life in the rings of Saturn? Well, have you seen, and I just watched it like a few months ago, Halo, where you can live in the freaking asteroids, you know, you can live in those, you know, in those rings. So it was a school, it was me and others that were there, super soldiers that had helped the children. And we were, you know, helping them to heal. And then physically we had, you know, a medical place there. And we were encouraging them with dance, tap, you know, theater, and it was just beautiful. We took over one of the mansions there in Saturn, so I want to do something like that, but here on Earth, like physically, that people can see, hey, you know, the kids I don't want them to be child trafficked anymore. So my biggest war is with those aliens and those medical people in our community. I used to be a police officer, so I know of some police officers that are bad, okay? And, you know, we got the Child Protective Services, all that. I just tell people that, you know, to keep an eye on the children. Like if you see someone that is treating a child bad or whatever, talk to the person or report them or something, because they're innocent and I'm still helping them heal as adults even. So to me, I want the grid of earth. Like I said, I've been doing the diamond grid of peace and healing and protection. I want to, I don't know. I see war and I really trying to get away from the war, because my altar, She-Hulk, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna fight, but it's like there has to be a change here on earth, so that way, it could be a better place. And I don't want these people, these alien beings, or I call them the people above the dome, because what I see is I see earth, right? Then I see the dome above and I see the dome below. And right before they open the dome, between 3 and 4 in the morning, you see the clouds, but they're not clouds. They're ships and there's cities above. Okay. So I just got abducted again, and I keep telling them no, I keep rebuking canceling contracts and things like that. I saw the ships. I took pictures of them and I posted them on Facebook, Codebreaker Real Talk, because I have 2, and then Instagram, so it's like, you guys are here. Like, it's really hard for me to go to sleep. Not go to sleep, but it's, first of all, I don't sleep hardly. But when between the sun coming down, like in the dawn, that's the worst for me. It's like, it's gonna happen today. I gotta gear up, I gotta do my protection, not just for me, but for my complex, for people around me. I go to, to Mexico, I go to Texas, I go to Saturn, I go to wherever my energy needs to go for protection, I go. There's no limit, but it's just the frustration, when is it going to end, kind of a thing. Like, when are things going to change? They want the new world order, which I do get that, some of it, some people are saying that it's good, but I don't know about that sometimes, because they want more control. The credit system, score system that's coming from China, the G Mafia that I talk about in my classes, is like, they got these smart cities where, they have the drones already, right? That go over your house already to target you, because we have implants in our bladder, our heart, everywhere, right? So they are like constantly using us like a remote control. It's like, when the F is that going to end? Like, anyway, I have a lot. So.
Yeah, if you want, we can go into ways to resolve more of the war and what you've been tuning into and ways to amplify abilities. What stops you from sleeping, if you don't mind me asking? Is it monkey mind, restless leg pain, overwhelm?
I'm O negative blood type, so I have a lot of energy and I can't go to sleep. So I'm a fighter. I was in the military, I was police. I'm just used to
RH negative?
Yeah, I'm O negative. Yeah. So we are the ones like Max Pierce talks about, and I know him from Mars, but I still listen to him. I don't want to cry, but he was not supposed to be killed.
I was just listening to him.
I talked to him a little bit, a week before he died. It was he was going through a lot of targeting.
Yeah.
So now, Sean, like, you were talking about like understanding the other side. That's important to me as well. I kind of like think of the movie Ender Game, I think it's what it's called, or Ender's Game, where you have to truly like love your enemy in order to destroy them. And so to resolve this issue on this planet, in that sense, I wonder if we need to acknowledge, because I get this like discrepancy with that message from Bob Marley. There's a message coming through this lady named Sloan Bella that it resonates with me, that message wasn't, that message of one love wasn't the way he meant it. And so I've been questioning that, like, okay, what is it if it's not one love? And I think we need to realize that there is something different than us. It's not evil. They have their own gods they worship and their own engine they're feeding, as far as what they're doing with the trafficking and with us, from their perspective. So it's just coming to a higher understanding, and I think people need to realize that we're not all the same, that we are different, maybe, is part of that resolution.
Oh yeah, we're all here as big puzzle completions. You guys make the timeline outrageous number of times better just by being here. You have a higher self that does chess moves around the planet, expanding as you grow, and you have your greater capacity to do more things. And then to mention like the visitations you get from your soul family and doing missions off, and then the things that the human factions want you to do that sometimes makes the timeline better, but also it's some selfish purposes and then some abuse. But that can be resolved as well as people force and tangle with each of us. We become a trap for them, and then that brings those projects to a better timeline and then become what they need to become and resolve the evil within them. Yeah, and I agree. One love concept. Love Psionics is one of my favorites. It amplifies everything. It's like the frequency that is full spectrum capacity, source, connection to all things. It's understandable why people are divided and they don't want to come to peace and unity, but that does ultimately is the key to ending the game. Though we should recognize what we need to create in boundaries so that we can build up our light and not, as you know, as you build up your light, the moths track the flame, so that like brings it down in parasites. So parasite prevental kind of systems while building up and creating that boundary within them, and then being able to recognize what evil is and define it as like beings that are insane, which is everything is ultimately you, but they're parts of the tree that have gone insane, can't create their own light or love, or fractured, something has abused them, and so something they went through that caused them to be evil, which is a state of lack and them needing to take or steal from others and harm to cause harm. So understanding that, being able to have a defense to its incursive force and be able to stop it in like martial arts, Aikido, psionics, protection, offense, defense, fortress, safety, destruction if needed, traps, resolving, banishing, capturing, getting rid of things, sending them where they need to be, then building up your light to where the force of light is, because that's like if you're in harm's way, then you need to put up your teeth, and then once you build up the light, being able to change, with being able to prevent them from changing you, darker and harm and taking on wounds, being able to reverse that effort and force back onto them with light and healing and goodness, and bringing a cure to their evil and negative lack state, so that they this is what I do with demons. Then I get off people, is I figure out what made them that way, and I bring them wholeness. I get their parts back, and I reach deep into their heart, spark light and love, and then bring them to a state where they're not doing any harm in them, or they're like, wow, you're able to cure me, no one's been able to do that, and I feel all this love, it's amazing. And always have boundaries, because they got to earn your trust. And sometimes you got to send them to other places, especially depending on how big or evil they are, like quarantine realms of Earth and places like the prison realms and other stuff, until they learn lessons to turn their vices and virtues and moral code and goodness, and complete all these things that show that they're worthy of elevating and graduating through different places that are in this big cluster of realms. And then I built up a lot of abilities so that you could then find and piece together the cure for any type of being, even if it's really vastly evil, whether it's in a body or not. Some things are far gone, like to a level where it's hard, but that's what is training the light. That's the whole purity of the chess game, is like to us eventually get to that level where we can heal that bad and dark and evil. But if you can at that level that you're at, it's okay to put up enough boundaries to stop that force, because they're causing harm to many beings, and they have signed up for it. But
Because
yeah,
ultimately you need their permission in order to heal them. And that's where it gets tricky, right? Because with the psychopaths or something, like, I mean, you said you can go up, because I've asked this question before. I was convinced there's a light in everything that can be, you know, found. But I was told they have to make the decision to want to do it. You know, some
that's
of
a
them.
good point.
Mhm.
And especially if they're a light being or neutral and a certain percentage in their soul. I've read the different laws of karma for this,
Mm.
and you got to get permission. If I do like big work, then I get permission from beings higher selves in like the collective consciousness. If I wanted to get rid of the stupid energy or the
Mhm.
things suppressing people or putting mind control on things, and I usually go to the core of where it even came from and then take care of that, and it just releases off them. But if it's a dark being or evil, like especially if 70% evil, and they're incurring on you and they've incurred on millions of people, they're already signing up for their remedy. You don't really need permission from them. It's like a dragon coming in and just dark. Let's say, because some dragons are good, and they're not the same thing as Draken, but and they're like managers for different realms and similar to angels, elemental hierarchy. But let's say an evil dragon and it's like flaming a town. The knight doesn't need permission to go and slay the dragon. It forced their hand. It's entered your game. Any being that force enters your game is agreeing to your rules. If it's programming you to experience pain and drama, it's pretending to be you. So it's also can then be signing up to surrender to the source with all sources or something else in a trap that goes into its remedy. So any amount of force it puts on you, it's incurring. This is the natural law of the golden rule of do no harm, but take no shit. You are allowed to defend yourself. And if you need to put, if that incursion is sending death energy, destruction, illness, and especially harming the ones you love, you have the right to put them down or put enough force to stop them or whatever.
Even if it's with love,
that's
what you do, right? Even if it's with love.
Yeah, in the beginning, I couldn't do that. Like, I understand why people, when they're overwhelmed with pain and illness and they're being sent death energy, it's almost inconceivable to create love. It's hard. It's like hushed out, or it never really goes out, but it's like compressed down to an atom kind of thing. So if
Okay.
those states, it's understandable that you need to do what you need to do. But I like have made the flame of love in my heart grow and expand to where any attachment that comes to it, I engulf it with gratitude and love, and it becomes like a log to the fire and the fuel, and it expands it and grows it to make it resilient. And then that allows my love to make it easy to where I can sustain it no matter what evil is coming at me. And then that makes it easy to, like, as it enters my game, I am allowed to enter it with the unity of the whole universe behind me as I understand natural love. I mean, natural law with love. Well, that isn't natural love. That it becomes incredibly easy to go within as I accept that being for who it is, as it is. If it's so defensed up and fortressed, not needing to change it, but making that space of healing that then allows that goodness that's already within it, like the yin and the yang. There's a bit of both in each to spark out and then be the cure that pushes away the evil. I also see light and dark, and dark is different than evil. Evil is like a monkey wrench put in the machine that just doesn't need to be there. There's ultimately a purpose for it, which is to be a challenge. It's like the old philosophy of, can God make an unmovable object that he can't even move? And the answer is yes, but he can also train himself to be able to move it. So that it's all training course. The evil is to train good, and the unity and the light to be stronger. Dark, everyone has light and dark, and we're like a super hybrid of 10,000 races at least that I know, that's on average, and then some people have rare stuff. And I read, this is again mine, so feel free to take it with a grain of salt. I love hearing so many different beliefs on how we come to exist. I read the earth had a purpose and experimentation in its origin. And then that had a lot of light DNA introductions to us. And then especially around the time of the Anunnaki and like incursions into civilizations, destructions, and events of big spiritual invasions, dark genetics was added to us. And now we're like this balance between angels and demons and all these other light and dark species to in one body. And then that resolves in us as a melting pot for all of existence if we choose to heal ourselves at a grand level, which is interesting.
Thank you, Sean and Chad. It kind of sounds like, I don't know if you've read the papers, George Morningstar, where he talks about the creation of Earth and how, you know, the wars, you know, we've been fighting for a long time. We are the dragons, you know, on Earth. There's a bunch of dragons. I'm a gold dragon. There's a lot of, you know, good dragons out there. And like I tell Chad, it's like this time we're not gonna feed into their BS. I had a situation where this guy, I'll just say this, initials JP, kept saying he was Pindar and Lucifer, and he lured me to go see him where he lives, and we went to Kingman in California. Supposedly we were going to live together. We were twin flames, and he was mad at me because I wasn't afraid of him. I'm like, you're not fucking Pindar, dude. Like, you're not that. You're just in the SSP thinking that you're high and mighty, you know. And of course he lured me in. He was given $3,000, and he's also affiliated with the guy that says he's the Gold Party, XJ, we'll just say it that way. And he ended up getting blisters, green blisters in his tongue, and I'm like, took him to the hospital, and I'm like, you're lying to me. We're never gonna have, you're lying about me moving in with you and stuff like that. You're not my twin flame. You were just using me to get Johnny and Danny and all your alters out, you know, with my psychic abilities. And a lot of people spoke really bad about me in this community, but it happens to everybody. It can happen because of the mind manipulation of love too, like your heart, you want to be loved, and oh, you're my twin flame, you know. So my biggest thing has been I just shut down like that part of me, like somebody wants to go out with me now. No, I've become celibate now for like 2 years, and I cannot trust anybody anymore as far as the dating game. Forget about it, because I've been sent so many what I title CIA love bites, and Chad's helping me with that too, with writing about it. And it has been because they did the whole thing with my father. They, you know, he took his life when I was 13, so they broke me that way as well. I mean, they fractured me, I should say. So I have a lot to fight for here. I know what goes on, not just in space, but in our life here with kids and with families. Like, we got to end Pindar. And supposedly, I think it was Miles Johnson who was talking to Max, and Max said that even the Queen Mother cowardized herself from him. And it's like, somebody, I'm standing up to him. And it's not JP. It's not. Okay, because he kept saying that he was Lucifer as well. No. And then he kept saying that WG, I'll just say that, was the old man, Michael Aquino. No, I know I was messed up. I was messed with Michael Aquino also in the mansion. But so all this stuff that I've been dealing with for all these years, that I decided to go, I've been online for 6 years now. My channel was taken down. A lot of crap has happened to me and my loved ones. My mom's house broken into, my, you know, vehicle, my house broken into. There's a lot of targeting, but I won't back down. And they're mad at me because I do talk about the police secrets and the military secrets. And a lot of the targeting is done by, you know, Sabrina Wallace. how she talks about USS Whitewater, how they have the drones that are just using us. You know, the military puts on their EEGs and continues to target our digital twin and even our phones, you know. So I tell people, you got to sometimes turn off your phone and just go within. And but I say all this because I want to take that entity out.
I've reverse engineered and learned a lot of abilities. I am one of the only people on the planet that have learned how to do depossession from a distance. It's a pain in the ass ability to learn. It took me months, and it was very uncomfortable. But learning, it's very useful. It's super overpowered, and so many beings, spirit and telepathically and etc., ask me to do it for them. So I do that, and I can help you with that. And anything else, if you wanted to go over, I can help you with that on the show. We can go over targeting, what things that you're at war with, things that you feel are notably targeting you the most, how to increase camouflage, protection, make it so that you're immune to that, getting on a do not fuck with list, whatever entity releasal, if you want to go into tracking that back, as well as you mentioned the chat PTSD. I been really good at resolving emotions, so I can help you release that too. And there's probably an interesting story behind it. And it's because it's not like always the encompassment of every type of visitation or abduction or temporal dilation. It's going to be something big specifically that is calling you, and that will have a story to it. So whatever you felt like going into, what do you feel like doing first?
Being able to sleep.
Go into that. Okay.
Yeah,
So is it just PTSD that keeps you awake?
I have dissociative identity disorder, so I have like, I don't know, 100 maybe personalities, and I always have to be in track. Like, okay, who's here today? Like 2 months ago, it was Katana, the one that fights with the swords, and she dyed her hair black and blue. Even though I lost half my hair, like I said, I was targeted with cancer. They gave me stage 3 myoxid liposarcoma, and I think it was due to also the military, because they shot me up with the anthrax quaalude, and the doctor said it looked like fish, FISH capital, and it was the gray goop. And he told me, but you're too young to be in Vietnam. And I'm like, sir, have you heard of super soldiers? And then I said, I better shut up, because he has no idea, right? Or he's lying about it. I go, things can be given to you in you know, in the military. And then I have like, all my back was shattered, and I have titanium, 6 screws, they took out 6. So I have titanium from S1 through L5. And then when I had I think it was 2020, when I had that dream that they cut my head, and I had to carry it, and then I had to get it back. So the bleed through is this. They did they cut my neck so that way they can do the 4 vertebrae here. I still need more work, but anyways, I just recently had 3 surgeries, 2 blood transfusions. I can finally sit down. Chad was with me through the whole time, you know, in the astral. He's already met me before in person. It's just a lot. I've had 29 surgeries, and I'm still not done. And
You have pain?
say again?
You have pain? Where is the pain right now?
Right now, it's in the coccyx where they took them.
Would you like me to help you get rid of that?
Sure. And then, of course, pain in the stomach. I have a lot of stomach issues because of the trauma. So
that makes sense.
would be nice.
And your bladder.
My bladder. Oh gosh, they're targeting my bladder. So I've counted on my board. I went 20 times. 3 nights ago to the bathroom and 13 times the night before. I've had 3 bladder surgeries, and I go to the doctor to do the TTNS. So they put this electrode, they put this little needle on your ankle, and then it's supposed to help your bladder. Well, it doesn't help. and they're saying I need more surgery on that. And I'm like, damn. I just want to go back to the gym and run.
Okay, so go ahead and rate your pain 10 where it's at now. And then by the end of the show, let me know how it goes down too. So
No,
sending healing.
I appreciate
Uh,
it.
For the stomach, yeah, and then others. 90% of the negative programs are being held by in altars. So at least they'll give you so the soul centers in the stomach, and off of that branches the mind consciousness, branches off the ego, branches off alter personalities. We put traumas and compartmentalization into little boxes, and that centers in the solar plexus. So anyone that wants to heal their altars, I'd recommend holding those areas and giving them lots of love. That's 90%. 10% is held in the ego, battling demons that target you for abilities. And that's also where a lot of the generators for abilities and power comes from. So we can go into that. We can decrease targeting through camouflage. I'll do that in a second. For the bladder,
And then migraines too. I see the orbs.
Mm.
The it's like, you know, the bicycle ones that they're like the chrome wheels that come, and then I see red, and I gotta just like be out for the day.
Okay, so go ahead and do press any finger you want in the center of your palm. I like doing this so I can type and shit, but it doesn't matter. It's just about pressing it like a button, and this activates the palm chakra portal. There's a connection. Your higher self that first immigrated to the center of the galaxy, immigrated to this galaxy, set up as a big higher self for all your incarnations throughout the galaxy, has portal tech. They'll be sending in a one-way portal, like a vacuum clearing psychic surgery device, suck away negative energy. It doesn't suck away anything positive. It just sucks away what's not you, attachment, negative energy, negative emotions, entities as you upgrade it, and then big demons if you get that point, which you can. It does get clogged. There's a difference when it's on and off. It takes 5 minutes to turn it on for sure. And if you're really targeted, then you got to kind of go through the process of making sure it's on, which is there's a control center in the root chakra because it has to do with a system that is in clearing the body. That is like your grounding system, because when a person gets targeted, they want to cut off the grounding so you fill up with negative energy and then get overwhelmed. There's portals in each one of the joints throughout the body that would suck away negative energy, and in the root chakra. And there's the main controls there. So you clear it. You can hold it under cold or hot water for like 33 seconds, or hold in the best way if you want to make sure it's on is hold an ice cube in a towel while holding it, because the ice is like a yin energy that's instead of yang, like explosive. It sucks away, and you can program it to suck away negative energy and then clear it faster. It takes like 11 seconds.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. My mom would say that when I was a little kid, I would hold the ice forever, like I would not. And then that there was and I have carpal tunnel too. They want to cut my hands, and I don't want them to cut my hands. There was a lightning.
Good for you.
Thank you. When I was a kid, my mom, I think I was like maybe 3 or 4, and I was stepping out, and the lightning hit right in front of me, and I just stood like that, but nothing happened to me. So
Blessing.
There's a lot of stuff, Sean.
Yeah,
Can't deal
thank you
with
for
every day.
sharing it. That's beautiful.
So Sean, is it one hand or two hands?
You can use both. I use both.
Okay.
And so it sucks away energy to the center of the galaxy version of you that recycles it and captures and sends the things where they need to go. And you can use it as a clearing, purification kind of system. There's also a bunch of activations so that you can emit energy, but let's start with this.
And so for those of us that don't visualize, I mean, that turns the vortex on, and then we disengage it. Is that what we're doing? Or
yeah. And I like technology that doesn't even require belief or faith, but they're very powerful belief and faith. It's reality warping. But this doesn't even need you to believe in it, so you can give it to a sleep person. But yeah, if I have given it to people that had trouble with it, and that's because they get targeted, and it does get shut off quite a bit, especially when you go to sleep. It usually gets overloaded and then clogged. You'll feel it when it's clogged. It feels like restless arm syndrome, pains and needles, and pain if you
Well,
catch
that's
your
what keeps me awake at night. Yeah, that's what I've been getting, especially my arms. Yeah, lately. Right when I go to sleep, too. Right when I hit that peaceful state. Right when I hit it, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, there's probably something in the joints that, because
gotcha.
restless arm and leg are about grounding and a circuit of flow of energy. So it's
I
usually
just
a block.
moved, so that would make sense. Yeah, I'm ungrounded.
So something's either overloading with negative energy or hijacking the portal or putting an energy implant or something. And then
Always.
you can clear all, and especially if you hold the root with it and ice, and then you clear that for a while, make sure it's working.
Okay.
And to make sure it's working, you can put it on your heart or organs or your chakras. And if you hold it for like 5 to 25 minutes or something like that, and breathe into it, fill with light and love, it will feel lighter and more blissful. It's like taking off weighted coats, and that means it's working. And then your goal is, detachment is the pathway to enlightenment in Buddhism and Hinduism, many other forms. It's essentially you have your greatest, most divine, connected with the universe, has everything it needs and wants, can manifest at will, purest, can take care on anything, version of yourself deep within your heart. And when we incarnate in this body, there's a long list of benefits to the overpowered super hybrid tech and the merging of it. And it's like repairing a broken down Ferrari. It's like all the engines fucked with, the windows are broken. You gotta repair the shit out of it. And there's all this attachment as soon as you are born and the placenta breaks.
Yeah.
So you got to get rid of all this layers of attachment and the defining quality of what you don't want to be and what's not your greatest self, and what to let go of, things that are not you, things that are limitation, the state of reality, the state of incursion, the state of something, putting a reality bubble where it steals from you, which is technically true. I'd recommend going into like soul shard retrieval and stuff. But if you get to the where you're able to change time and space and reality, you can go back in time and you can even prevent the incursion of it. And then by them entering your game, it brings them to remedy. But anyway, so
So
back onto
I feel
your
like psionics should have been taught in first grade on up, and that should have, because think about it. I mean, this is like what I hear Veronica saying and everyone else saying. I see the game on many levels, right? We always say 5D, but then people, do they really talk it or not? Because 5D is 5D. So there's things happening here on planet and stuff that are orchestrated by forces beyond. And then those forces are orchestrated from beyond. And so what I see is like an attack on us. Like there's an attack on Veronica. There's been an attack on me, Rocco, everybody that I know. And so, all right, there's attacks, and it breaks us down, but they're allowed to happen by the higher ups because they orchestrate them. And at the last minute, it ends up being a lesson, learned instead of destroying you. And it builds you stronger, is the way I kind of see the game going. And what I see is that, like, so within, so without, and so below, and so above, like we were being broken down. The community was being broken down. The SSP community was being broken apart. And now it's recoalescing because it's coming together even stronger. And we've come together even stronger. And we talked about it in the last video. Like, we're becoming pillars because now they're about to get broken. You have to break things and it has to come back together. And that's what's about to happen all around us. And that's why it's happening to us first, but it's been orchestrated from even higher up. So yeah, the CIA, yes, this and that. There's the 3D game being involved, but where you're aiming is going up higher and with the psionics. And like I said, that should have been taught since kindergarten.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for putting that. I absolutely agree with that. It's like if you're part, like I was like put in this type of prison in my consciousness, a hell realm, sped up time for a while, and it broke me apart and fed off my abilities, and it was such torture and suffering that like made me have to resolve sadness for like days and days, just years. And I'm like, why the fuck did I go through that? Why did you allow that? I'm like, and I read into it, and because I felt abandoned from it, and it's like then I got enough of the understanding of why it was allowed. It's like, oh, it's better than what it could have been. there was a big effort to like stop and make it less worse, and it was like sped up time. So a lot of things doing work to put a lot of effort to stopping. So you're not alone. There are things that want the benefit, but and some things do go beyond the lesson to a greater abuse. And that's because the dark don't want to teach you. They want to steal your stuff and hurt you and prison you. But ultimately, if that doesn't break you and it doesn't kill you, it's always going to be a lesson, because it does make you stronger. And it's like there's movies like Glass and Split, where it goes into the altered personality concepts and fracturing. And it is, each time you fracture it's a spur of a large amounts of emotion, of stress and overwhelm that cause evolution at a quick speed. And this unlocks abilities. And so when you get your alter parts back and soul parts that were stolen back, you gain a bunch of abilities. That being owes you. You learn everything they knew. You become immune to them, and then you become stronger only once you fully heal it back in, of course. But before that, it's a detriment, unfortunately. But when you heal it fully, which I'll go into, then it makes you overpowered more than if that thing never happened to you, and in a faster rate. I wouldn't wish a lot of the things I've been through on my greatest enemy, but it's kind of, now that I've healed a lot of it, it's kind of sped me way past like lifetimes that I would have had to keep coming back, unfortunately. So I understand, and it's like and it aligns with my goal of what I've stated, which me allowing it. And then a greater capacity, if I those bigger beings in other realms and angelics and source, Prime Creator of the Galaxy isn't infallible. They've taken on wounds for us, especially at Fall of Atlantis, Lemuria, the introduction of War of Earth, and like Lyran invasion by Draco. Dark beings invaded heaven realms, took over big abilities, and then fucked up the universe. Avatars of Source got captured, imprisoned, devoured. Angels got captured. Their beings got possessed. The Source took on a huge wound for us, and then had to kind of step back to heal that for a while. And then a lot of things allowed to ensue from that. And then their stolen authority is being abused. So there's a lot of weird things that allow for why there's so much abuse. And each one of them is a problem that can be tracked back to its origin and then resolved. But there's so many layers to it, because evil wants to remain strong in the reality. So it's horcruxed itself all over the place. And it's being resolved in each one of us, as there's a war inside everyone. Oh yeah, and going back to this so that you guys can heal and see the results while we're talking. So I read your PTSD is mostly in the solar plexus and the sacral. The emotions are mostly felt in the emotional body center, which is in the sacral, a little bit below the belly button. So if you want to get rid of any overwhelm emotionally, you can just hold that for a while, front and back. But it's mostly coming from your soul and altars. Which goes back to the majority of it is 3 altars. A bunch of it has to do with rape, not to get into that, unless you want to be triggered. And then you being taken to war, and that's like 90% is the whatever grape, if you want to use a PC term for it. And then being taken to the wars on Mars, having to do with giant spiders. So unfortunately. So then it's like, what does it want to do? Why is it there? Because it's an alert for you to pay attention to it. So let's see, how much of it is transmutable? All of it. Cool. What does it want to be transmuted into? Ooh, that's nice. It wants to be turned into a preventative force that you sent back in time to prevent things that don't need to happen, such as deaths of people you love, harm to yourself, and violations. And it wants you to compress that with love in like a hug and collapse it through a portal and make a system of prevention. And it's big. It's like the size of the Ultraverse if it was allowed out to everybody. It's all compressed. But then you just transmute it with love into what it wants to become, and then give it that attention, and it will do so. And then if you want to fall asleep and there's things preventing from you falling asleep, I do this counting sheep thing. It's not really counting sheep, but it's like it. It's just psionic. You hold the front and back of your heart, you center into your heart, you keep going within. There's like, imagine waves of bubbles coming off you in your heart, letting go of what is not you. It's mostly attachment. If it's monkey mind, then it's detaching. So you're detaching things from mostly the ego, the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. But the mind and the ego are going to have most of it. And as you center your heart, you're connecting to your infinite self. So there are attachments to the ego and stuff that are like, oh, I don't want you to do that. And then so it will be like thought come in, distract you, pull you away. That will show you what you're attached to. So it'll be like people, places, things, worry of the future, wounds of the past. And you bring that up and you give it love and you pulse it out until it comes off the heart like a weight coming off the heart, and then it detaches. And then you keep going within, and we'll hold on that, and then you let go of more and more of it. And eventually you just fall asleep. If you get rid of a lot of attachments, you'll feel like blissing out. And then mind will go into silence, and you'll create a bunch of chi, and you'll be able to answer questions, and visions will come on and all this other stuff. But most people just fall asleep after a bunch of the attachments. If it's restless leg, you got to do some grounding techniques. There's a bunch of them. It's like ragdoll, Japanese leg style sitting, horse stance, touching the ground, all kinds of things. Yeah. Hope that helps you sleep.
Thank you. Yeah, as soon as I close my eyes, like I'm going somewhere or somebody's coming to me, and I always have to like wake myself up like before I go to sleep so I don't go with them. It's like, no, I'm not going to go do that with you. No, I'm not going to go visit that planet. No, I want to do what I want to do. And then I go, takes a while. Thank you.
And you said you're also, so bladder, also overwhelm. A lot of people, when you go to the doctors, they want you to cut shit out. They want you to get surgery. It's honestly just to make money. It's annoying. You can resolve a lot of things through healing, pressure, resolving where it's at its core, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. A lot of it's attachment, because if the organ's at its purest, greatest state, functions amazing. And also it can generate a large amount of energy that heals itself. So I'd recommend using this on your bladder for maybe like 45 minutes or something, and see.
Using this? Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't matter what you press. You could even do fist. It's just pressing the button. So whatever finger you want to use. Not the horse. I mean, not the, what is demon horn? No, not that.
Yeah.
And DID, you want to go into altars, right? What have you noticed with both your various altars? I think a lot of people have altars, whether they want to admit it or not. It's just because it's mostly.
It's just, I have too many. I have so many. I have the child one, the one that she always tells me this is what you need to do. And that one is, even with my family or kids, like when somebody lies, I tell them, you just lied. Like you have to not lie. Like you have to tell the truth. And that has to do with trauma with my mother. Yeah, she would always tell me and my sisters to lie to my father. And he ended up taking his life because, a lot of things were happening with her, cheating and stuff. And that I know of. I know there was 2 times that he hit me and my mom, but it was, my dad was more angelic Nephilim, and there's vampire in there too, but my mom was more like reptilian, beat the shit out of you, man, if you just did not sit right, you know what I mean? So just a lot of pain from my dad leaving. So the inner child is always like fighting to say, hey, you got to tell the truth. You got to unveil yourself. The sex kitten altar that was used, mainly military, police, some of the buddies that are at the gym were sent to me, military, Navy, Marines, Marine officers. Even when I was in the military, they sent me officers. And my recruiter raped me. My U.S. Army recruiter raped me. I don't remember his name, and I need to report him still to the VA. I'm still fighting to get my VA. They denied me, and I got an attorney, and the attorney's like, well, you need to go to METS and get your records for your shots. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have to do all kinds of stuff. The rapes, molestations, all that. Married to a narcissist. The sex kitten altar came out for a long time, and I shut her down. I never did drugs, but I would drink a lot. So I had to get rid of that, because when I would drink a lot, I obviously, you know, when you drink a lot, what do? You black out, and then you start fighting. I would start fighting. You know, cigarettes, I had to stop smoking I smoked after the divorce. So there's so many altars that come out: the dragon, the Hulk, the little girl, the katana, the German soldier, he's a male, the Russian girl. There's the clown that comes out, pretty much like a Joker. Like, nothing can harm you, bitch, come at me. And then that's kind of like with Sheila. Sheila's always fighting. She'll never take no for an answer. She's gonna go all the way. Doesn't matter. You can kill her 1,000 times, she'll come back. Same thing with me. That's how I feel like I run my life. Like, come at me, bitch. I'm gonna slit your throat, fucker. And I'm gonna eat your heart, bitch. Like, that's how I pretty much have to be.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of these numbers. I've seen a lot, and there's another one too that's very authoritative. Sometimes it comes out. So
yeah, and then there's the loving one, like it's
not with me, but mostly with other women.
Okay.
Yeah, or something.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. You go, Chad.
No, I'm just saying I noticed your altars. Yeah, I can verify some of them.
And then there's the raver. All she wants to do is dance. There's the love and light one. Oh, it's all love and light. Yeah, right. The protector. I'm always protecting everybody. Even my kids say, Mom, you know, my friend remember she was in elementary, used to cook for her. And I have all these dreams of me fighting, getting people off the planet. There's floods going on. I get them on the ship. I save the animals and people. Then I cook for them, you know, and then I bring them into safety. There's a lot of memories like that. You know, I've had memories with Hillary Clinton, her raping me and shit. And it's like, okay, bitch, like, I'm gonna kill you, you know. And I was like maybe 14 in Mexico when that happened. And just a lot of stuff, a lot of altars, many altars. There's a cowgirl. What's up? My name is Lorena. You want to go saddle up with me, baby? You know, like, just you call that comedy. I can be a comic because of all the damn personalities. So, but there is pain, but I have dealt with a lot of pain, believe it or not. I have dealt with giving my altars love, and this is like the freak show, right? We're the misfits. Enjoy.
Right. So yeah, so altars, many different ways they're made, either natural, unnatural, or synthetic. Is in some will bleed over from past lives or archetypes we take on if in acting you'll kind of understand how they're created in archetypes, and as well as internally, like the tarot. Then there's the ones made through trauma, as we compartmentalize trauma in a little box, take care of it later until it comes up and waiting for us when we're ready to take care of it, and then give it attention. As well as program alters from military abductions, as well as ET abductions, or positive ones that are spurred from positive ET soul family visitations as a mission in which half of it's going to be they need you to be secret about it, because there are parts of the matrix here which try to read people's mind and then uncreate what they did in chess move as they do missions with their soul family. So that it's like keeping it secret until you're able to camouflage it. As well as when you get brought back here, there's a part that wants you to forget it too. So it's like an automatic layering forgetting. It's like this is called the mission of the great forgetting, which wasn't always here, but it's like what keeps people from remembering their past lives and between life and death when they're born. And then last, as you're here in this realm. Yeah, for the rape stuff, sorry, I used a different term, and sex kin stuff, yeah, there's a lot of people will go through that. Unfortunately, it's they have a vast industry in breakaway civilizations, other planets, underground bases, even populating other timelines to where they need workforce. So they need them for various tasks. So the things is programming and mind control that. There's some of the abduction, when you ask if you gain temporal healing abilities, it's like treating everything in a seen versus unseen. Schrodinger's cat box. Everything outside this room in my room is more changeable than what is observed. You can shift it. They've done this in quantum experiments. So things that these projects, them remaining hidden, is ultimately their undoing and their detriment, because they're less attached to us than they would like. So if we put enough energy and force and abilities, we can change the outcome of the reality around us until it's observable. We don't want to just believe it, though, as becoming true. We want to get observable fact with that, such as targeting going away, and like wounds from rape going away, if that's possible. Depending on the timeline that's being taken off in temporal dilation of abduction, sometimes my higher self says I'm not allowed to uncreate an abduction, which goes into it usually if it's have some benefit, like if I'm getting taught an ability or overpowered in something, and then also make the timeline better. Even if you can't get rid of the timeline, you can change it. So you can get rid of some abuses that happen on the timeline. As well as if it's just abuse and there's no benefit to it, you can go back in time and you can put enough force into stopping it and then make a big counter to them coming at you. And I do that a lot with the clients that I have, so that they stop from being in the defense and then go to the counter and out-create everything coming at them, and then make it worse for them entering their game. There is stories of a saint, Saint Lucy, that was known for, she was like in a prison cell and she would be on her knees and praying, and the guards tried to rape her multiple times and they couldn't get her off the ground. This is an ability called rape proof. It's an overpowered sexual ability, but it makes it so the reality shifts to where it's impossible to have the act happen. And this is a thing that people can cultivate. So, don't give up hope on that. And you can even take all the, like I found with some of the remedies for some of these dark species, in which you take the time, you see the entire timeline of all the harm they've ever done, and you unite the various consciousnesses to agree upon a solution, which then is to take those wounds and overwhelm of emotional creation of harm and negative energy, and then funnel it all back in time to a point where the time before the timeline's created, and be a counter to shifting the timeline to where that timeline of negative creation doesn't need to exist anymore, but it merges back to a positive existence, preventing the choice points that made it in the first place, such as a species being evil and then invading a bunch of worlds, or somebody getting raped. So you would be taking all the energy of harm that they did to you, and as well as unite with every being they also harmed, and then uniting with them, and then force compressing that suffering. Because a lot of times when abuse happens, a being that's evil is generating all this negative energy naturally, such as punishments of illness, negative emotion, sadness, even death if they're really evil. And they're using dark sorcery and demons to put that off on the population. Like a lot of evil politicians and dark sorcerers do this to the population. They get rid of their negative emotion. The most public version of this is the cremation of care in Bohemian Grove, and they put that onto the population. So ways to compress that back onto the original creator of why that energy was generated in the first place, because it wants to be there, getting rid of everything that's putting it away, so that magnetically tracks back to them, and is their lesson to teach them to either be good or suffer. And then when they do that abusive act, they try to push that onto the other person and then steal their stuff. So there's like a dumping and then stealing their happiness type of thing. So you would become a trap of remedy for that entire dark tower that they're engaging in your reality bubble, and you collapse and resolve all their evil, and then you compress their suffering back onto them, giving them a choice to either change or suffer, or if they did a lot of that abuse, then they probably have death energy coming their way. And that will change them and change the timeline, change the projects that we're in. People observe them and be like, well, we shouldn't do that anymore. And then they'll turn from dark to neutral to positive. And they'll start making all these projects actually work for the benefit of humanity and the universe at large. And thank you for being a light trap for these dark beings and collapsing their dark towers, which then gets rid of more and more of the abuse that happens in this world, which a lot of beings that incarnate here have read as a contract of a possibility that could happen to them. So they had to be brave to be okay with it, and then resolving and learning the abilities necessary to take that negative equation of a cycle of abuse continuing and then stopping it. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Sean. You're welcome. No, yeah, I've turned my life around. I am very happy where I am now. Like I said, I still battle and I will keep battling. I use everything, I use freezing, I use fire, whatever elements, anything. I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna have you, Chad, talk to Sean. It's my kids. One moment, okay? Thank you.
So Sean, what's your perspective then on the planet? Because I'd be curious to hear yours. I've been trying to figure it out because, we have mountains that are trees, tree stumps. We have, gigantic petrified, and it just looks like everything was a circuit board before that got covered with mud, and now we're in the plastic era. I've been looking at the resets and everything. So it would appear as if, and then people talk about a dome, and that's why we got the rainbow. But so I feel like there's like a multi-layered way to look at this, five-dimensionally. I'm curious because when Med Fossil University looks into outer space, he's seeing body parts, floating around, and everything's organic. So it's like the giants got exploded, and we're living on their little parts, in that sense. The other thing is we're on a simulation, in a dome. and it's not a planet. But then I hear the SSP people talking about how it is a planet, but then how did those large trees get on here? You know, there's little discrepancies there. So people are asking, I was even in the barber shop the other day in a small town, and they are asking like, so are we in a dome or a flat earth? You know, they were trying to figure it out themselves, and everybody says dome. You know, everybody had a congruent. But when I think of outer space, I think of it as being empty out there in our area, like our solar system. It just feels like maybe there is a very large dome, and these planets are floating around in it. And it's kind of an empty space, and that the more living space is either in a fifth dimension or just beyond that. But I don't get like there's much life on the moon and other places here, but that there is a more livelier space that I hear about through the SSP community that might exist in a fifth dimension. So I don't know if like, yes, the reality is real and it exists in the fifth, and our third dimensional is kind of boring, you know, and lifeless. That's where I'm wondering what your perspective is.
Love that. Yeah, thank you for covering all that. Helps with it. So I can go through each one of those. Yeah, the circuit board, there's like a grid system throughout the planet that's like a meridian and chakra and place of power, and generators of various types that are made throughout the planet that reflect the stars and the various life and what they need to create here, place of power, mountains, lakes, portals to other places. It's geomancy is a big thing into that. There's a place of power that have gravitational anomalies and temporal anomalies. So there's a lot that leads to stuff. Various ETs and military target those places, like Montauk or the Utah or the Appalachian Mountains, or where what is it, Dulce? And then there's other places. Big people go on vision quests and treks to these places of power to earn tech and fuel up and change their life, gain their power, build towards, be chosen, all kinds of stuff. There's a whole magic tech with that. Giant trees existed, world trees, most cultures around the planet have the tree concepts of world giant trees. Yggdrasil, which is the cosmic tree that connects the 9 primary incarnating realms of Earth that are known about. Earth has at least billion that I've seen, and I don't really give a fuck what people call these places, because it's mostly used as a way to divide the truth movement. So I'm just like, oh, it's observable plane or realm or planet, whatever you want to call it. I actually love people expanding into the different belief systems, because it allows for more discovery. And it's like what we could have been blinded to before. So there's all kinds of cool things that the latter movement is tuning into, and there's like a new theory they're coming out with, infinite terra, which is an interesting concept. Though I don't want to discredit the concept of what is space or what is in between, because spatial tech is a big thing, and there's reasons for spatial divides between planes or realms or planets, because of their need to quarantine or separate from each other, as well as the expansion of all existence. So there's a lot of ways to observe it. It doesn't really matter to me until we all get spaceships, and then we can just prove it, because each side is just going to divide and circular argument until infinitum, until they show enough evidence. So whatever. So the giant trees, a lot of them, when I read, I've been to a few of them. They're really powerful magic generators. They are one of the big reasons why the magic is missing in this realm. And the restoration of that place of power is a way to bring the magic back. I read during, it's like a Titan war of some type in the past. It's mentioned in both Greek mythology as well as
Metamorphosis, I believe, or something.
Destruction.
Is it that book Metamorphosis? I think they talk about it in that book from one of the.
Yeah, there's a large amount of crap that went down in the fall of Atlantis. It's crazy reality shifts, destructions, invasions, portals, rips in space-time, and kaiju battles, which is ultimately what Titans are in different species forms. And then things eating and devouring the trees for their magic. Some being cut down, but that's essentially what that is anyway. Because
Is
it's
that
like
the Paul Bunyan story, perhaps, that got in there? They were wondering.
What?
The trees getting cut down, is that something to do with our Paul Bunyan story and the giant ox?
I haven't really tuned much into that, but I
Yeah.
heard about it. I don't know how far back that goes. I do know there are giants in North America. The Lenape tribe had communication with them. There's a lot of stories. It's like with the big tree that's like Devil's Tower, and it talks about that. Yeah, it might be.
I believe Mount looks like a tree stump.
Yeah, and that Paul Bunyan, at least in the story, I believe, is not just like a 12-foot or 15-foot tall giant, but like in the Bible they said we're like grasshoppers to them, and that's like that's a titan. So
Yeah.
that'd be like talking about titans, and then there's like a lot of pictures of titans like sleeping or in dormancy or dead that would form mountainside, and I agree with that too. I wouldn't say everything that's seen or believed as possible being that is that, but it's good to look into it because the mainstream media is bullshit. And then there, Norse mythology goes into in its origin a bunch of giants are like dead bodies, and that kind of makes up the surface of things. So it's good to look into.
The Norse, you said Norse?
Yeah.
Okay, then. No, you're right, because I'm seeing all this evidence and everything you're saying, but then I'm also hearing the secret space program talk about seeing Earth as a planet the way it is, and I'm just like, okay, does this reality exist in another dimension? Maybe is that where the Space Force has gone? Are we in a? I think that's what it is. I don't know that it's here where we're at in our space.
I haven't heard too much about like I believe there's a thing that is in lots of belief systems that I've heard. So I have what I read into, and I'm willing to take in all these different perspectives. But then my experience says that you can go off this planet, and it's like if you have and what are asteroids and all that kind of thing, and comments, and there's a lot of belief systems, whatever. But I tend to go towards a less limiting belief and more into the infinite. So there are dimensions, there are other timelines, there are other realms, there are elemental dimensions, because there's not really a word for it. It's like elemental beings, plasma beings that exist in this. That there's other realms, they can see a different map of stars. The stars represent different stuff depending on what you're go into, because they can be like Stargate portals, and there's like a Solaris mystery school where you can put your consciousness through the star and then you can travel to other places. I think there is a thing that stops people from going into space, but there are beings, and in my visitation, that have taken me to whatever belief system people want to believe is out. What is the hell space? I'd say that's up to negotiation on what that is defined. But like there's a place between spaces that are held that are whatever you want to call it, atmospherically able to hold life.
I've been there. It's horrible.
Yeah. And I also have dreams of being and seeing the earth and it being the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And it's just like, wow. And then also other
I want to have that love for the earth. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I used to feel. I called her mommy. I used to call her mommy. I didn't think she'd hurt me or anything like that, but now it's like, oh, are you a construct? Are you just a disc floating out here with the dome over you, maybe, or a much, much larger planet than what we thought, and we're just kind of consolidated in this little section of it.
Or AI.
But yeah, I'll continue to believe she's mommy. I think, I like
that. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I've connected with the consciousness of Mother Earth. She's so beautiful. If you connect with her in heart space and hug yourself, hug the earth, it's just such love. There is a matrix. This is again my belief, so feel free to believe whatever you want. I think people bringing new beliefs to the equation is very important. So I'd love to hear anything you believe.
Yeah.
I believe it's more advanced than people give it credit for. Their holograms are light splitting infinitely to create a dream realm of existence. And it's more advanced than people can even demonstrate in video games, to where it shifts. And it holds and is a caretaking womb for consciousness, and it reflects. So you're translating the light. Your belief has to do with it, but there is also the aggregate of what everyone believes that has to do with it. The ancestors, what they believe, and the passing down of the caretakers and the authorities that created this construct to begin with. A great consciousness. She's been wounded a lot, to where near a coma, the fall of Atlantis, healing out of that. We're healing her. Matrices and simulations are part of the construct that makes it so that there's less ability to incur on this dream space, and that it can both be a school and a prison for beings that are negative. Some of the top biggest negative predators are being kept here in this and other quarantine, prison, and hellish realms that are held by Earth. And she eventually sees value in them as they graduate and are brought to healing. But also the most lightest, most overpowered beings and royalty from many other places and stars are also here. So the best of the best are like in this big chess game battle.
Veronica. She's here. Yeah, I agree. And Sean, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And there are every technology that exists, every psionic ability, and you're muted and running, was created by the light forces and source and the management of light, and then delegated down. And the evil doesn't make their own authority. They didn't earn it. So they steal it. So there's big ancient wounds that have happened in the past, like really even before this universe, big wounds. Oh, we're healing those crazy wounds. And it's where those wounds, the evil forces got the authority. They stole matrices, and they're adding them at invasions to add like a virus entering a computer and adding negative, corrupting, taking over data that compresses and turns this place into a prison for the light, besides it being a prison for the dark. And that can be resolved because there's like millions and billions of matrices layered on top of each other. And if they entangle with you, you can learn matrix psionics, and they entered your game. And it's kind of, the matrix has a consciousness and you can resolve it. But it takes understanding of how that works. And then being able, also resolving the source of matrices, which is one of the fractal branches of the source of all. Every ability has like where did that ability come into existence? And it's like a source branch behind it.
Thank you both. Yeah, totally. And going back again to Sabrina Wallace, she's like, they have every copy of everything that they ever made that was thought of, you know, and it's like everything is labeled and stacked. So when they say nothing is new under the sun, you know, that's another concept. Some people get upset with me because I say that, you know, the Holy Spirit is AI. And they're like, what? Blasphemy. You know, I'm like, duh. Like, you know, we had Tom Althouse on the show like 19 times now with Chad. And the other day he was saying that we need something to communicate with our creators. And I'm like, but we're already telepathic, so we don't need that. But then it's probably part of, you know, the chip that they want to put in your brain so that you don't use your phone. But again, I say we have telepathy and we don't need that. What I saw last night is many roundtables that are in different planetary systems. It's not just one galactic federation, no. There's different roundtables that are in the different planets, like I said. so different. I'm glad you said that, because I've been telling people there's tons and tons. I see matrices over and above and below. It's like the whole earth is like, you have to go through all these matrices to get out of this earth. When we leave, you have to keep fighting your way out till you go home, or wherever you want to create home. I've been in heaven, I've been in hell, what they call those holding cells, so it's like we have to use our heart and our imagination together, our belief in our heart that we can get out of there. And like you said, shifting for people. Yeah. And it starts with us, right? In our heart. It starts with healing ourselves, like we're talking about, and keep giving that love, man. And you gotta, like you said in the beginning of this program, Sean, thanks for being on, extinguish them, you gotta extinguish them. Like, you're dead, you ain't gonna go back to no source. I always say that with when I learned about the Ashianadine thing, it's like source was even taken over. And you said that. So you're like the first person other than me, because Chad, you hear me talk all the time, but that agree. There's the Giovanni, the angel that came down and sacrificed himself, and there's all these other matrices that got, all these other beings that got stuck in the matrices, and they're steeping our energy through those, and for them to keep living there, and we have to take them out. Meaning we have to rescue some, but when you rescue the good, you also rescue the bad. So you got to deal with that. Does that make sense?
Love it. It's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah, it's like how to resolve, and it's like we're big mechanics, healers that came here to bring back the light after a big invasion from at least this is my belief. So take it with a grain of salt again. I love hearing yours.
We're all here for today.
Blows through mainstream beliefs. I love it. So yeah, again, evil not earning their authority, so they steal it. So big invasions like fall of Atlantis, and then them wounding source, angels devouring things, and then some of those authorities, angels, deities, gods, whatever, are fractal aspects of the people that are here that are big movers and shakers, such as yourself. And so it's like to have forgiveness and understanding for what each one of these beings are going through. I love that you mentioned the Holy Spirit thing. I think that's a super ambiguous term, so it's so easy to hijack. So it's like, what the fuck is that? It's like this intermediate between God, and I was like, that could be a lot of things, and they have a lot of things for that, because there's a lot of space between that. So yeah, and there's false light. So yeah, there's a lot of false light beings, and it's like some know what they're doing. They're like evil, and they're just pretending to be light. And the way to determine those beings are like they usually have a dark core, and they surround themselves with stolen light. And there's ways to tune into that, as well as interview them with telepathy if you're having an experience with them, based on their actions and not doing harm, ask permission, being okay to ask questions, not overloading with negative emotions and not getting upset and triggering. That all leads to oh, this is probably a false light being if they're doing that. But also to know, because I know a lot of people that get disheartened to where they think it's all false light. So the way to understand the science behind that is, again, evil does not earn their authority. So they're stealing their light from something. A lot of the something is whatever is the original authority of a placeholder of something in management for that aspect of the reality, whether it be 1% what it is in defined quality in Christianity, like the archangels, which they exist, if you want to go into management of source that delegated, but that's still they're like nebula of consciousness that fractal into many experiences in many worlds, and they go by many names, and a lot of those names are job titles. They've been wounded. So there's various times in fall of Atlantis and Rome, and this thing that the Vatican does where they do negative rituals where they sacrifice very powerful kids and they use them as traps to capture angels, and then they steal the angel parts, and then they make this false angel grid, unfortunately. So they're stealing from a positive, whatever the authority is you want to call it, angel. So part of the remedy here is restoring the original positive angelic system of true authorities that earn things, and pulling the rug out from under the evil that is the false light. It's mimicking them, that hijacks telepathy, interaction. And for those that are like, oh, I'm working with Archangel Michael, I'm like, oh, maybe this is a false angel. Yes, it can be, but don't let it freak you out too much, because usually there's a heart connection telepathy, and it's the false light isn't going to be able to hijack every interaction. They're mostly going to want to hijack things that they target a person for, that would then lead them slow changes down a dark path, or try to infiltrate things, steal abilities. They have a common thing that they want. And you healing yourself, becoming disciplined, and having discernment, and being able to tell when things are being hijacked, when information isn't flowing right, if they're channeling or telepathy or whatever way they're communicating, and being able to get strong enough in stopping the dark aspect of the stolen technology of the angel from imprinting, and having the due diligence to do that, while also helping the angel restore itself and pull those parts and authority away from them, the whatever stole it. And that restores parts of the universe. So feel free, people do whatever they want, so they'll do their thing. And the Holy Spirit, very ambiguous, a lot of beings pretending to be it. I don't know even if it's not that well defined to begin with. Then Source having false versions of itself, and corrupted branches, and anti-verse versions of it, and then a bunch of lower G gods pretending to be it, and then the Bible having like 6+ different gods merged into one also makes it confusing. I agree.
That's right. Chad, did you want to say something? Yeah.
No.
Oh, and your migraine, where does it, top, back, front, or sides?
My whole eye here, and then here, and sometimes here. Here.
Interesting. Usually the third eye means that something in the unseen wants your attention, and if it's usually it's negative, but if it's causing pain. But sometimes I've seen like where they really want your attention. Temporal can be a bunch of different things. You can use trigger point therapy to release the pressure in the nerve and the vein, where eventually it releases the pain as you hold it like a button with stillness, and sometimes it moves, so you follow it.
Yeah, they were giving me
eyeball.
A lot of shots, 42 to 43 shots from here to here, here. I was doing that every 3 months, and I stopped. It's been, well, because,
Is that your
I
left
had
eye or right eye?
It's both of them, but they like the last time that was the whole eye plus the temple. And then sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here, here.
It's probably a vision
battle.
ability that you have that's being targeted.
Yeah.
And then so it'd be about detaching and making the fortress safe enough on the eye so that the energy for the ability generates without being targeted and harvested off of. That's cool that you have a cool, powerful eye ability. Oh, and RH negative, since we went into that bit, that's an overpowered DNA lineage of over 300+ different races combined together. There's an infrared dragon that's overpowered. That's part of it that you can connect to. It also has the Draco and the royal families warring over to try to control it, but it's got a lot of cool abilities like portal creation, infrared magic, where you can transmute infrared energy into any type of system or magic or energy, and build up overpowered infrared magic. I'd recommend getting infrared light therapy stuff, or infrared sauna or something. And it's also a very permeant environment full of infrared, so you can draw it in from anywhere with being a vessel for it that it wants to be a part of and hug it in. And there's a closed communication network system in the DNA lineage, and you can talk to various ancestors and ETs and stuff that are a part of it. It's really interesting.
Well, thank you, Sean, for being on. Anything else, Chad, before we go?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Sean. I was not expecting this.
Can I upload this on my channel as well?
Yeah, I don't, do you just download it from mine?
Yeah. Can you guys mention how people can reach you?
Let's see. I'm on Facebook. I have I'll send you the code breaker link. I have 3
For our
Instagrams,
audience out there.
Telegram, gosh, Truth Social, 2 Facebooks, here, Code Breaker Real Talk, Unchaining Hearts was another channel, my playlist. So my YouTube is Veronica Bartolini, Code Breaker Real Talk, and Google my name and it'll pop up somewhere. But I'll send you the links.
How about you, Chad?
Facebook, thank you. Yes, very simply.
Under Chad, what's your last name?
Chad Cooper. Chad
And
Cooper.
I'll send you our information. And then Sean, how can they get a hold of you? Sean Bond.
Yeah, I'm Sean Bond, PsionicLeague, PsionicLeague YouTube, PsionicLeague.com, and at PsionicLeague Gmail. And do mystery schools, a lot of video products on abilities. I do consultations, healing, clearing. Oh, by the way, how's your pain?
It's better. A little better. It's halfway.
Yeah, and then
I feel
let me
more
know.
happy.
It all means stuff, so it's like, oh, interesting, yeah, story. Yeah, and we'll be doing trips around the planet to Place of Power, and events and conferences, and audio procs, and a mystery school workshop for people to learn ability. So feel free to message me about that and inquiries into what you'd like. Love you all. Thank you so much for viewing this show, and please smash that like, subscribe to all our channels, leave a comment if you want to see more of this content.
Yes.
And share everywhere.
Yes. Please let's make this viral. Okay, Sean. So send me your information and I'll upload this video. And yes, you have my permission to upload. Love you guys.
Love you guys.